How's everybody this morning? Good. Everybody have a good week? The weather's certainly changed this week, hasn't it? Yeah, it's starting to feel a little bit more like fall, which is a good thing. We had a lot of heat over the last week, and I'm really glad that it's starting to feel more like the season. How many of you remember last week we talked a little bit about what Reverend Sanchez had talked about. Remember what this was over here? See if we still remember. What is it? What is it over here? June. See if we can one more time. Okay. June. All right, so tell me, what does Jew mean? Anybody, just give me, what do you think it means? Who wants to? Okay, Sako Kemp, what's Jew mean?
Okay, is myself.
Uh-huh.
Jew is owner.
Okay, so means myself as the owner, right? The owner of what? Chanil Guk. Okay, so the owner of Chanil Guk. So, it's kind of interesting. I was thinking about it. I was thinking, well, what's that mean? I kept asking over and over and over again, to get a definition of it. And yes.
It means it's already done.
Already done.
It's fulfilled, it's accomplished.
Okay, in yourself.
It's fulfilled, it's accomplished.
Yeah. So it's, yeah, Susan?
Well, we use Jew as a final for something that has been already completed. So in a sense, it's like a stamp of authenticity. This is what we are declaring, put our stamp on it. So in that sense, it's a sense of completion as well as ownership.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think that's right. So anyway, I had an inspiration. I'll give you my version of it, all right? Happened late at night when I was in the bathroom, of all places. I usually have my inspirations in those places, but and I was just, brushing my teeth. And so I thought, Father talked about being at 90-degree angle, right, to God, right? No shadows, like this light right here, right, shining on me. This is like the direct sun. So I thought, well, it's what it means is is like God's love. I feel God's love. So when I'm standing directly with God, I feel this feeling because God's true love comes to me. And then Jew kind of means like juice. So like juice from God, okay? So if we stand, 90 degrees to God, then God's love showers upon us, and that's where that juice comes from, okay? So anyway, that's my version of it. It's easier for me to remember what that means rather than completed because I kind of understand it, but I can't always remember it. So why did Father give us Jew? What do you think? So we said Amen forever, right? But then we came up with this new word, Jew. So I just kind of wrote down some notes about that. So just like the Canaanites who followed Moses into the promised land, right? They were told not to assimilate into the culture, right? Not to become part of the culture, not to be absorbed by the culture. So last week we read about True Mother's words that were no longer in the New Testament or the completed Testament, that were actually in the era of Chanil Guk, right? So Father gave us a new tradition or a new word, Jew, rather than Amen. So we're in the same position as the Canaanites, and we must resist the fallen culture and stand at 90 degrees with no shadows. Okay, so that's why we have a new word, a new term. So we replace Amen with Jew so that we can stand in that new tradition. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and continue. This is our second half of the video series we watched last week. And so we're going to ask Elisa to pull that up, and then we'll watch this series to complete our second half.
Strategic goals. Okay, before we talk about strategic goals, let's look at the big picture. Currently, the United States population is somewhere around 325 million. Now that's a lot of people. But let's take a look at some research done about how many people it really takes to move a nation. The question is, What does it take for an idea to spread from one to many? From minority opinion to become the majority belief? According to a new study by scientists at the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, the answer is 10%. Once 10% of a population is committed to an idea, it's inevitable that it will eventually become the prevailing opinion of the entire group. The key is to remain committed. 10%. That means 10% of people who are committed to one idea have influence over the 90% who are not committed and who are basically committed to various different ideas. All it takes is 10% to influence the whole 100%. Now that's amazing. In the case of America, that would mean we're really 32.5 million people, not 325 million. So what about your city? Let's say your city consists of roughly 100,000 people. So 10% of that would be 10,000 people. So to reach 10,000 people, you could do it with only 12 tribal messiahs. Think about that right now. Do the math in your own city and consider how many tribal messiahs would it take to essentially influence or control the 10% of the population and thereby be able to sway the future of your city. Another way of looking at it is 24 tribal messiahs who have blessed only 215 couples. That's halfway. Or let's say, so the major goal for your team in your city would be to bless the mayor and city leadership publicly, and to bless 10% of the population and educate them around our common values. Now, in terms of Vision 2020 and the strategy therein, this is starting to become somewhat practical, I think. It's starting to look a little bit more doable. I mean, if you have 20 or 30 or 40 families in your community in a city of around 100,000 people, you have probably enough people or more than enough people on your team already to really make a change in a short amount of time if you follow True Mother's strategy. Okay, so let's lay out some strategic goals to get there. I want to show you some goals that we've laid out for the Northeast region. This is the entire sub-region of the Northeast. First of all, our strategic goals should actually match the strategy, okay? So, we have these three major areas. We should develop goals centering on, number one, witnessing, number two, the witnessing environment, and finally, number three, the youth. So that's what you're looking at here. You're looking at a massive offering table, so to speak, of our goals. These are the fruits that we want to bring to True Parents by Foundation Day 2019. And you can see that they're divided into the areas of witnessing, witnessing environment, and youth, with several subcategories therein. Of course, we've already gone over our key performance indicators, which are Heavenly Tribal Messiahs, and VIPs Blessed, and Young Leaders. But you can see that when you start to map it out, there's some other things that are very important to measure. So we're measuring Blessed Family Ministry teams that are equipped to support families on the ground to become healthy and happy. We're also raising up young lecturers, or any age lecturers, frankly. And we're measuring things like tithe. Strategic goals, just frankly. And we're measuring things like tithe, money, and so on. So there's many things that you can measure, but you want to be able to keep it simple enough to be able to see clearly how you're going to get to where you want to go. If we measure these factors or these metrics weekly or monthly, we will see continued progress as well as clarity around our vision, strategy, and communication. Now, we've broken these down state by state. But actually, this needs to be broken down community by community. In other words, every community should be asking in these areas, what are the goals that we want to set for ourselves this year, this month, this week? That now gives something very tangible for your team to discuss at your next strategy meeting. Great. So now some people will say that I don't like numbers. You've heard this before, and there's reason, because we don't want to be just treated like a number. Well, in the Northeast, we have put a new spin on this. We want to think of numbers in a different way, because the truth is, we love numbers. We use numbers to measure the things that we care about. We use numbers to measure the things that are important to know. And from now on in the Northeast, we're going to talk about numbers as fruits. Reports as fruits. Goals are fruits, right? We're really talking about our farm, our garden. Beautiful, tasty, sweet fruits. And the good thing about this analogy is that when you consider the fruit, you don't just think of the digit of the number. Like, for example, on this screen, you'll see 11 oranges if you count them, maybe 12. The point is, what is subject, the orange or the number? It's really the orange. And if you look at where the orange comes from, it comes from a tree, a branch with roots that's in soil. There's rain, air, water, sunlight. And each of these beautiful succulent fruits holds within it also the seed for multiplication. So when you think about numbers, you can just get carried away with digits. But when you think about fruits, you can immediately recognize how much work and how much cultivation was needed to bring each fruit to the table. And by the way, sometimes we collect fruits in a big basket, by the basket load. There's just so many of them, we need machines to carry them away. But in other instances, it might just be that one lonesome fruit way out back at the end of the meadow that somebody forgot to pick up. Well, that fruit is equally important. In fact, in the Northeast now, we're saying that there's no fruit left behind.
Oh, no.
That means every family, every member, every offering is precious. But we need to be able to align our families, our communities, and our offerings with True Mother's vision and with True Mother's strategy for it to be able to all connect. You know what? Even the fruit that fell down on the ground and was half eaten by a bird, if you look at it, it still has seeds. If you take out these seeds and polish them off, you can bring those to the offering table also. And as many members pointed out, you can still do stuff with the fruit pulp here. You could make jelly, jam, or even a pie. The point is, we need to be good at recognizing the fruits that our members already have. Because if we ignore them, if we ignore the offerings that people have, it can create a bit of a stench, right? It can create friction. It can create a feeling of not having been received or valued. So we want to create a culture where every fruit, every offering is received. But in order to do that, also, those offerings need to be in line with True Parents' offering table, because it's all coming here. And as you can see, there's a lot of design and a lot of careful attention paid to detail here. Every fruit has its place, and this is much like our goal board, right? In fact, we call this the Northeast Sub-Region Goals Offering Table, because frankly, that's what it is. It's like this. It's an offering table. We're making an offering table. In fact, every year we're making a beautiful offering table. Maybe every season we're making one. And just like you see these vertical stacks of beautiful fruit, that's how we look at our numbers, like vertical stacks of beautiful fruit that we want to bring to True Parents. So that's our analogy on how we look at goals and numbers in the Northeast. How do you feel about looking at goals that way? Maybe you too can look at it that way and encourage others to do so if it helps. Okay, so we have vision, strategy, and goals. Now we can start to consider our tactics. So watch the next video to see our tactical approach in the Northeast that we're going to apply in 2018. So watch the next video, and in the meantime, thanks for watching this one. Okay, so in this video, we're going to look at our tactics, specifically our tactical approach to the Vision 2020 in the Northeast sub-region for 2018. Okay, so what are tactics again? Tactics are essentially short-term strategies. This is where we have to come up with some ideas. You know, Mother has given us the vision, the larger strategy that we can apply, but what are the tangible ideas that we can put on the table to build with? You know, it's like, what do we actually do, all right? So that's this question. What is our actual 2018 tactical approach for the Northeast sub-region? Well, first I want to give you some background. We met with Mother directly after the new configuration of our movement in December. We went to Korea just 2 days after she reconfigured everybody. And in that meeting, apart from singing and eating, and by the way, we forgot the words to the song at the time, which was kind of embarrassing because it was Reverend Rendell that wrote Sailing with Our Father. But anyway, they forgave us. And we had a wonderful breakfast meeting with True Mother. In that meeting, she gave us very clear direction about what each of us needs to do. And it's this. She said, number one, liberate your ancestors up to 420. And number two, fulfill your tribal messiahship. She said that if you do this, if you unite with me, miracles will happen. She said that John the Baptist will come to you. And she gave this analogy of a porch light at night. You know how the bugs just fly to that light? So the point is, when we are aligned and when we are completely united with our True Mother and fulfilling our responsibility, miracles will happen. And the things that we need and the people that we need on our team will come to us. If you believe it, then good for you, because it'll happen. Then, very shortly after we got back from Korea on that trip, we were called to Korea again, just literally a week later. So we went for our second meeting. And in that meeting, each of us were asked to convey to True Mother, what do we feel is the most important thing that you're going to be working on in your area of responsibility? And my answer to Mother was this one: heart, or attendance. Because in my experience, when I'm working in the area of tribal messiahship, there's a certain spirit world working with me. But as soon as I shifted my responsibility as a sub-regional director for the Northeast, spirit world started showing me different things. Honestly, God started speaking to me a little bit differently. My view had to widen more. And I noticed almost immediately that actually this is perhaps our biggest stumbling block right now. You know, in America, we are not short on resources. We're not short on ideas or great people or talents or skills. We've got so many creative ideas, it'll blow you away. But this is, I noticed, the most important factor that Mother looks for. It's the heart, or the heart of attendance, right? Hyojong, you could also say. And I felt that in America, we sometimes get carried away with our own ideas to the extent where sometimes this important piece here is put in the number 2 position, not the number 1 position. I noticed that Mother, before age or skills or capabilities or accomplishments, the thing she's really looking first for is the heart. And so I reported to Mother that that's something I'm going to be really praying about and figuring out how to raise up in our leadership and in our members in the Northeast. Meanwhile, after I said that, a bunch of the other sub-regional directors from Korea and Japan shot up out of their seats and proclaimed to Mother that they would be holding big rallies for True Mother to attend in their sub-regions. And after hearing that, I started to shrink in my seat a little bit, wondering if I had kind of missed the memo or missed the mark. But honestly, I really spoke from my heart about what I felt was important. I didn't really give Mother anything tangible at the time. I really spoke about the importance of heart. But after I heard these other leaders proclaiming their tangible goals, I realized that also we too need to be able to answer that question. So that was what was on my mind the third meeting I went to Korea. This was the third leaders meeting in Korea after the new appointment. And it was February now. It's beautiful, it's cold, snowing, but very beautiful. And I really went there to answer that one question. What are we going to do in the Northeast tangibly this year? So the first 3 days, we were in this meeting, special meeting for newly appointed leaders. And we were graced with reports from all of the top leaders about very important things. The presentation that struck me the most was from Wonju McDivitt. She mentioned that when she goes into True Mother's bedroom in the morning, many times she notices that True Mother's pillow is wet, that Mother is crying at night. This really struck a chord in my heart. And to answer this question, my mind was racing with all of the different presentations that were given to me. And I was trying to single out what is the one most important step we need to take this year. And with that kind of heart, I was awoken from kind of an unsettling dream about 12:30 in the morning on the third day. And so I took my restless mind up the mountain to pray. I looked up at the stars. There was a beautiful black sky lit up only by the twinkling stars in the sky, as if each star was representing another great idea and another option for me to consider for the Northeast. But as I looked across the way, as I looked at the Chunjunggung, just lit up with a few twinkling night lights at night, I was wondering, is Mother sleeping right now? Or as Wonju said, is she up? Is she praying into her pillow? Is she crying? And it all boiled down to one question for me, because I was asking God to clean out my mind. I don't want to know my ideas or anybody else's ideas anymore. What is it that we can do in the Northeast? And God, what is it that you want us to do? And it was really this question that became the root of my prayer, which is, what keeps True Mother up at night? If her pillow is wet every morning, or most mornings according to Wonju McDivitt, the question is, what is keeping our True Mother up at night? And God answered me immediately. It's simple. It's that she wants to give rebirth to 7.5 billion people. She's desperate to do that. Clearly, our True Mother is not thinking about halfway restoration before she goes to spirit world or symbolic restoration. She desperately, truly wants to reach each one of God's children all around the world and bless them. This is essentially about rebirth. Rebirth. And I think for any mother who can see her child the other side of the room crying in pain, they wouldn't hesitate. They wouldn't wait 2 seconds. They'd dive across the room to help their ailing child. But in True Mother's case, she's blocked from being able to personally do that with all 7.5 billion. She needs us. We need us. In fact, we need help from other people that haven't even met true parents yet. But this is the central point, rebirth. And so I asked God, well, if it's about rebirth, how can we touch as many people in one time to have that type of an experience? Now, in the Northeast, we have 10 states with a total of 57 million Americans. So how can we reach as many of them in a short amount of time? Of course, there's a lot that you can do online, but what God told me is, actually, that's the purpose of the rally. There's a lot of fanfare around the rally. There's a lot of PR potential. There's a lot of other things that happen as a result of doing a rally. But up there on the top of the mountain at Changpyeong, as I was praying to God for a simple idea that really struck at the heart of what true parents need, it was about the fact that 7.5 billion people need rebirth, and having a rally, gathering people together in the same room as our true parents, is in fact a rebirth experience. Not only that, but I asked God, when? When would we do a rally? Immediately God said, November 11th, 2018. In case you're wondering, it happens to be a Sunday. I didn't know that at the time. It also happens to be the Veterans Day in America. It's also the 100-year anniversary of Armistice, World War I. And it's also a 1-year anniversary of the global rally in Korea. At the time, all I saw was this date in my mind, clear. Peace starts with me. Yes, it's a fantastic theme, it's a broad theme, but ultimately, no matter what we perform, no matter what color we color the banner, the point is that to be together with our true mother is a rebirth experience. So how many people of our sub-region in the Northeast, or how many people in your sub-region would you want to bring to such an event, to your event, as an opportunity to be reborn right now? Because this is what's keeping True Mother up at night. Not to mention the fact that a November rally does many other things. I mean, any rally does many other things. Because as a tangible common purpose, it allows the team that sometimes operates or feels like this to become consolidated around a common vision. Also, because it's in November, it gives us time to generate more awareness and to drive education to the people that we're inviting. This shouldn't be just us mobilizing our members again and again and again, but our families should be doing their own tribal messiahship. Every couple that you bless is 2 people, perhaps multiple people if you're blessing the whole family, but it's at least 2 people. It's 2 emails. And with those emails, you can send newsletters, you can send correspondence about what our true mother is doing. Imagine telling them about the Island of Gori story, or the Mannhausen story, liberating the victims of the Holocaust in Austria, or what she's going to do in Brazil, or the global rally in Korea, the unification of North-South Korea. There's so much work that True Parents have done throughout history that's mind-blowing. But even if you just look at the last 6 to 10 months of True Mother, it's enough material right there to excite a whole people to not only want to come, but to want to be a part of it, to want to sign up for it, to want to donate for it, to want to bring their guests, to want to co-create it. So the more time we give ourselves, the more time we can do those things. And that's when I started to understand the brilliance behind giving ourselves some time. So doing it towards the end of the year in this way. In fact, I just realized a couple of weeks ago that between the mountaintop prayer, when I was asking God, what are we going to do? And the November rally is about a 9-month period of time. And our Harmony tour sat right on the end of the first trimester, which is really where we went public with this idea. Now, these are just some of the benefits that I can consider as a result of doing this tactical approach, at least in the Northeast. First of all, it's rebirth for thousands of people. It's exposure to True Parents works. It's a way to consolidate the team and develop new partnerships. And also it's a way to harmonize our communications and use our communications as a way to educate. It's not just about bringing people to a physical workshop location, but if you have one tribal messiah would have close to 1,000 emails. That's 1,000 people that between now and November, you could send little notes once a week, telling them about the incredible work that True Mother's doing and getting them excited about coming to see her at the end of the year. Now, that's not something that we expect every community or tribal messiah to do, but that's the whole point of harmonizing communications. We can help develop those resources at headquarters and give them to our communities, our tribal messiahs, our providential organizations, and partners alike. So there's just a few of the benefits of this approach. And if you agree with the vision, and if you have a strategy and substantial goals, you actually have something to communicate about. So common vision makes each offering clear where they can bring it to the table, right? Each community, each of these circles could be different communities or different departments. It's all the same. And another thing, when you think of the communities that we have in the Northeast, or frankly all across the United States, it's difficult to imagine every community becoming strong in every area of the strategy immediately. It might be that all one community can do is offer 1 or 2 young leaders to the providence. But that's fantastic, because as we start to see ourselves as 5 nations within the region of the USA, we have a stronger sense of identity, and we have a stronger sense of being one people within a smaller landmass, a similar type of people, with similar types of histories, and also we can work together. Where for example, something that Pittsburgh can offer, something that Philly can offer, something that Cape Elizabeth or Portland, Maine can offer, might be 3 different areas of the larger strategy. But when we bring it together under the roof of the sub-region, it becomes very powerful. So there's many tactical ideas in this idea, and this is working at a sub-regional level. Of course, every community would have its own tactical approach. Every department or ministry can have its own tactical approach. But when you have something tangible to work towards like this, it's a lot easier. Okay, so a few of the next steps that we're going to be working on in the Northeast, this may be interesting to some of you. We're going to have better communication with leaderships and members, and better infrastructure of leadership, or clarify that leadership structure, including who's on what team and who's reporting to who. Of course, we want to assess our strengths and weaknesses, and really start with our strengths, but take note of where we can improve. And like I said, no fruit left behind, right? We want to value every contribution towards our goals. And like I just mentioned, we're doing a lot of things already, but how can they connect to the larger sub-regional goal? How can each of these prayer breakfasts and ALC meetings and Sunday services and evening programs and youth events and workshops and camps, how do all of these things lead towards a culminating sub-regional tangible goal, like the rally in November? Okay, so coming up next, for those of you that are interested, I will give an overview of what we experienced on the Harmony Tour. So for those of you that are interested, please watch the next video. In the meantime, thanks for watching this. And remember, you can go back and start at the beginning and watch these again. Double speed if they're too slow, half speed if they're too fast. That's the coolness of video. Thanks for watching.
Okay, what do you think, guys? Did you like that? It's pretty au jus, right? It was actually pretty clear, right? Very, very clear. Damien left it out for us very clearly, and it makes sense, and it's not complicated. It's a very simple strategy, and it's in line with the Midwest revival that we have through the end of this year, right? Does everybody remember the points of the condition, right? Which is real simple, is we're going to, the first step actually is happening in November, right? We're all going to Chicago for the Ancestor Liberation. So that's going to add to our 430 Ancestral Liberation number. So that's one piece of the puzzle. And then the second piece is the November tour, right? How many people are going to New York? Can I see your hands? Okay, we got a few. All right, great. I just heard last night, David Rendell called me. He has tickets available for us at $37 each if you'd like to purchase tickets and go. That's $10 off of the cheapest seats, I think, that you can buy online at $47, so they're contributing $10 for those tickets. You do have to find your own transportation there, okay? Unless, enough people come forward and really want to go, and we could fill up a bus of maybe 50 people, and we might even consider that. But we'd have to really see, some enthusiasm to go to the rally. But what do you think, based on Damien's explanation? Does anybody have any second thoughts now about going to New York before today? What do you think? Yes? No? Yeah? All right. So you can pray about that and think about that based on what you heard today. And that's a big part of, accomplishing this momentum and getting the vision out there. I know Damon was talking about, even doing these rallies in each sub-region too. So not only in the Northeast, but maybe in Chicago region. We're a part of Chicago. We may even have one here too as well in the future where True Mother would come. Who would like to be a part of that? Anybody? Yeah. Yes. Okay, so that's one part. That's something. Those are two things that are happening real quick here. Is Chicago, and then also the New York rally, which we're all going to be a part of. The last one is the blessing, right? The Tribal Messiah blessing movement. So, with that being said, we've been pioneering that road, a few of us. I'd like the people that have been doing blessings, Yoko, Susan, Sumiko, Francoise, Chantel, please stand up. Come up here for just 1 second here. I want you to come forward because you guys have been pioneering. Hayasaka, she's been there too. The back, please come up here. Yeah, Hayasaka-san. Who else was? Takako, wait, she's in the back. Okay. All right, so this is kind of our team. Come on up here. You can stand up here. This is the team that's been doing tribal messiahship actively in our community. So we're kind of leading the way, pioneering the way, and so I just wanted to have them maybe just briefly explain their experiences in doing the tribal messiahship blessing, and then hopefully through our experiences, then you'll kind of understand, and then maybe what we can do is maybe team up with some of these leaders, maybe into Trinities. One thing that we realized that some people may have a little bit of difficulty, especially maybe Japanese-speaking sisters, right? Maybe have a little more difficulty reaching, Western people, right? But working together as a team is very powerful, okay? And we were able to actually bless a lot of people through that team effort. And also Fatu. Yeah, come up here, Fatu. Come on. Come on. You can just stand here. You don't have to say anything. You were part of it also as well. But I just want to let you hear them just give a little bit of their testimonies about their experience. And then you'll get a feel for it and the importance of it. So, well, whoever wants to share something, yeah. Yoko's, by the way, Yoko's been a real champion. She's gone out to when we were doing the Walmart, she was setting up that big canopy, you know, in the rain and the snow and the wind, and really putting effort, you know, and really helping. And you know, she's had her difficulties, so I'll let her share her experience. But she's been a real champion. So.
I didn't expect this. I'm not ready
Of course,
to say
that's the best way to do it.
So, right now, all I could say is, you know, of course there's a lot of difficulty, you know, because Satan still exists. Whoever tried to achieve a 430, he always tried to discourage, you know. So I had lots of up and down, you know, internal turmoil. Because in my mind, I know I have to go, but there's all kind of a, you know, excuse not to go, or because of this and that, or because it's so hot, because it's so cold, or because it's rainy, or because I'm busy. I have all kind of excuse not to go. But the Damien's video right now, you know, just we watched that. Heart of attendance, I think that's a bottom line to, you know, let us go. You know, with that, just stick to it, we can overcome all the obstacles. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, good, excellent. Anybody else? Susan? Susan's a real champ too. She's really out there in the trenches. So
Don't believe him.
trust me, I know.
You know, we all started at a different place. And maybe we think back about 20 years or 30 years or further when we had a lot of energy and we could blind ourselves to obvious things that we couldn't do anything about. But that's not true now. We don't have the same energy. And what I've found is that I'm not nearly as great as I thought I was, but I know you guys already know that part. But, but what I have found is that I could begin to grow. So I looked for about a year to find a good Trinity person to do it with, and I couldn't find someone, and then I noticed that my husband was suddenly on board, and I go, now that's a great Trinity member. And, and I'm very proud of him. But it kind of, I didn't really see it coming, and I don't know how it all happened. And then as I started digging deeper in this process of going out and caring, and just like Yoko was saying, you know, defeating the things that usually defeat you, I started finding that my heart became softer and my children came closer. I didn't expect that. So I know, and perhaps you guys know, that our biggest obstacle may just be me. And this is a process of becoming a victor of what you really believe and what you really want. So yeah, it may be hard, but nobody said it was going to be other than that. But I never knew quite how it would happen. And it works according to my effort and ability. It's not something overwhelming, but it is so surprisingly gratifying. So for what it's worth, that's been my experience.
Great, thank you, Susan. You know what, I forgot one person. Actually, I want to invite Nathan up here because I just want him to give just a short testimony of his experience, because he really broke through. He was a real champion. He was giving the blessing, and he was actually doing it in Spanish too. So he's let him share a little bit about his experience.
So to clarify, I was there for one weekend. All these people standing on stage here have done it for much more than that. So I think any success I had, I attribute to them because, you know, they came before me in a literal sense as first-gen members, but also just being there. Yeah, this faith is real, and true parents are real. The divine principle applies in our lives. And that means that it's not just praying at home by ourselves. It applies when we apply it in our real life. Something I'm preparing in my next sermon is just talking about applying the divine principle, because it's very real, but it really applies in your life. And I think talking to people and trying to change the environment around us to raise it up, to bring it closer to true parents and to a heavenly ideal, that is just really something that True Mother is trying to encourage in us, and it's very possible by doing this. So I'm glad that Susan was mentioning working with the Trinity, working with the team to create energy and movement among individuals, because I think that's really important. And it was really great to do this as a group, as a family. I couldn't think of better people to go out and to reach out to people with than this community here. So it's a great chance to exercise your faith, to go beyond your comfort zone, because I think that's what this life in the movement is all about. You can't exist in your comfort zone and really be following true parents at the same time. You kind of have to pick one or the other. And a lot of great things can happen in your own life that you won't expect. You think you're giving something up. You're giving up your time or your energy, or feeling comfortable with your life, but you actually get a lot in return that you don't notice right away, or you have to be aware. Your heart has to be open to realize what you've just received based on what you've just offered. I think that's it.
Yeah. Well put. Very good. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Let's give these guys a big hand. They're real pioneers. So, you know, my experience is, you know, me and Sumiko have been working together for this, and for me, it's been I really enjoyed doing it. Actually, I was really getting a lot of spiritual food from it, and really experiencing God when we're just in the Walmarts of all places. I mean, it's like the most, you know, I mean, you would think standing in front of a Walmart, you know, it's, you know, how can you find God in front of a Walmart? But I'm telling you, God is he's in front of the Walmart, you know, and so you know, when you talk about it, it sounds like that sounds stupid, you know, Walmart. But we've met really good people out in front of the Walmarts. We got a couple coming here tonight that's going to be studying premarital marriage right here. Going to be here tonight for our 5-week program. So we have something substantial we can offer them. You know, not just a little blessing ceremony, never see them again, but we can actually, you know, invite them over and give them something substantial. So we've had a great experience. We like it. We want to continue to do it. Also, just so you know, all those blessings that you had done in the past, as long as you have a record of them, they count, okay? So Sumiko was looking desperately for a list of the couples that we had blessed back in 1997, and she went through all the back rooms and was digging around. She was just about ready to give up, right? Forget it, I can't find them. And then on the last day, she made one more effort, and boom, there was the package, 130 names. So now we're at 300 now for our 430 number. So that just happened yesterday. She was real excited about that. So, you know, almost wanted to give up, but just the last minute, you know, there they were. She found it. So, okay, brothers and sisters. So, you know, maybe if you want to pair up with some of the people that are here today, maybe a Western with women, give it a try. You know, True Mother's put it out there for us, the challenge. When I first heard it, I felt like, here's another numbers thing. But, you know, I just went with faith and just made the effort and found God. And you too will also have a good experience, because God's just out there waiting for you, okay? He's just waiting for you. And once you step out there, it doesn't take much. I guarantee you'll have an experience and you will find God and true parents. Okay? Just a note, Sumiko mentioned that in conjunction with what you saw today, True Mother encouraging unity across departments. So those that are part of the different departments, we have a leaders meeting scheduled for next Sunday after church here, okay? So Chris, Mr. Takanak, I asked him. Also, Reverend Reese, also if you can make it, and Charles. We did send out an email to everybody to be a part of that, okay? All right, let's close in prayer. Okay, our dearest Heavenly Parent and true parents, we thank you so much that we could gather this Sunday morning and we could share in this message. These videos were very clear today, really clarified everything, that if we just unite with True Mother's desire for us, then miracles will happen and John the Baptist will appear. So we have to think that when we do make effort, we're doing it collectively, and it's an offering that builds up a condition in which we can see God move in a very dramatic way. So we don't want to just be mobilized without this type of mindset. We need to understand that even if we just do a little condition, that condition can move mountains, and we can find very important people that can really advance God's providence. We saw that in Africa this year, in Senegal, with the president of that country coming forward, and I'm sure they went through the same struggles, a big goal, but yet Kathy Rigby just made that effort to unite, and then the results came. So it's no different now, and we want to really follow True Mother. That's the path to Chunilguk, is our unity with True Mother. That's the title of our sermon for these last 2 weeks. And we want to really pray about this, connect with it, and be a part of it. Please guide us as one community, brothers and sisters, as we march forward, Father, in these last few months of this year, 2018. We're just 1 year and a few months away from 2020, which is the culmination of a very important time and numerical number. We're seeing the movement of North and South Korea unification right before our eyes, and we are very close to seeing your ideal fulfilled on this earth. We thank you. We pray all these things together now. In my name, Marcus and Sumiko Vandermark, and bless Central family. Adieu and amen.